Welcome back to another episode here at HBR, Houston Business and Real Estate, where you can find the best real estate information here in the Houston area. I am Giovanni, your gracious host, and today we have a few topics for you guys. Pretty interesting. Everybody's talking about right now how they can find their new market according to the changes. And we want to talk about emerging markets, something that a lot of people don't really cover. It's not just a special niche with everybody. Oh, you know, I'm a first-time home buyer specialist. I do nothing but listings. Okay, but let's dive a little bit deeper into that. What does that actually mean? What kind of sellers do you help? What kind of buyers do you help? What kind of relocation do you do? Do you work relocation for Exxon, or you just do relocation in general? Today we're diving deep into that, giving you some examples and how you can find not only your niche market, but an emerging market. So let's jump right into it. As you know, we have a full house of lions today. No special guests. So everybody that's usually on here. We're going to go ahead and start opening up this conversation. I've been looking at a few different reels on Instagram. And, of course, the worst place to get your information is Instagram. But as it goes, we were doing that. And something that somebody was talking about was that they want to start going after divorces. And the reason why they want to start going after people who are getting divorced is because they see that the economy has changed, and they're betting that next year is going to be another president in office, which of course is going to be another one, but it's going to be one that's going to make the market even worse, quote unquote, their words. And they're betting that there's going to be more divorces because as the economy gets tighter, people start arguing over money, and now there's going to be divorces. So that was their game plan for their emerging market, but they didn't dive deep into what does it mean to work with a divorced couple. And to be honest, I think we have somebody here who specializes in that, which is our broker. And I've done a few myself, but if you guys wanted to dive deep into what it means to find an emerging market and what, for example, if you're working with a divorced couple, what does that even mean? How do you even go after people who are getting divorced? Are you just going to go after the clients that, you know, you covered up for your homeboy and now he did dirt and got caught, and now you're going to go out there and help him?
That's how I would get the listing.
Because I'm the one who snitched him out.
When we talk about specializing in divorce, I don't know if we mean the same things.
Vic actually takes him out and hangs out and takes video of him, and then
then they found.
And I said, use me or I will be sending this to court.
Vic said, you know what? It's time you get a new house, whether you're buying it or selling yours. So how are we going to use this?
So I guess, you know, is divorce an emerging market? I feel like that's just a market that is always busy. Like everybody, you know, what is the percentage now of divorces?
50%.
Is it 50?
It's been 50% for some time. I don't know if they've done any new studies on it.
It's super
100% of my house.
100%. Yeah, I mean, people are always getting divorces. As a matter of fact, I honestly I don't really like doing it. I started getting.
You don't like getting divorced, or?
Yeah, that either. I'm not getting divorced, but no. I got all of my leads, or I started representing a lot of divorcees because divorcees, because I used to work with an attorney, and that attorney gave me a client, and then it just trickled from there. And honestly, it all started with a trust. I was given a trust from Chicago from one of my clients. And I was down here managing that property, and then that attorney wanted to liquidate. And you know, attorneys in other states, they don't know that, you know, a real estate agent here essentially does what they do here, you know. And so she was trying to contact an attorney here to sell the properties, and so then my name came up, you know, as a property manager, and that attorney's like, why don't you just sell this property? I don't know why they're calling me, right? And so I made good friends with him, and then, you know, I've also been good friends with Jason of the Griffin Law Firm, right? You know, he used to own a mortgage company I used to work for back in the days, and so that just, you know, it wasn't like I was actually actively marketing, and I think I've seen that. Is that what you're talking about? Because I've seen marketing for it on Instagram.
That's this person that was talking about it on Instagram. They were literally talking about this is a market that they're going to go after because they find that in the new market that we're in.
Yeah,
that it's going to be harder just to be an agent who serves everybody. You serve everybody, you know, you serve nobody, right? So their point was to find something that you're good at, find your emerging market, whatever that may be. Now, I don't think that we're making it a point that
when we're having this conversation, we're talking about anything can be an emerging market, right?
Exactly.
If it's new to me and it's a new way of getting business, it can all be emerging because I'm going to be the expert in that field, and it's creating your niche and how do you go about doing that? So, For us and what we do in Lionsgate Realty, we always encourage you to find that niche, find your market. Now, we're not saying that you can't do business all over Houston and you can't sell apartments or you can't sell houses, but I'm saying your day to day and what you should be doing is focusing in one specific area and becoming a local expert in there. And what we want to talk about is how do you become a local expert in whatever that emerging market is, right? For us. And what I encourage is discovery. I'm big on discovery. My sales process includes talking about everything else but the sell so I can get the information that I need to help you make the best decision, right? Same thing in the emerging market. We discover, we do discovery. Ask them about their goals, figure out their pain points, figure out how we're going to be able to better, serve them. What are some things that you would do for discovery, Nate or Floyd? What does discovery look like for you in that process?
I mean, I think personally, I feel like it's or it has been something that I can kind of identify myself with the type of clients that I'm working with. So that helps me create like a better connection. I feel like that has been super important to me, and that has been what has helped me create, good relationships with my clients.
Yeah.
It definitely helps you appeal to them for sure.
And I think we've talked, how you mentioned at the beginning, right, that anything can be an emerging market to somebody. Something that they focus on, that could be the emerging market, because if nobody's in that space, nobody's taking up that space, it could be all yours. It's your slice of the pie. It's your emerging market. And I think the main question here that most realtors would have, and they would like to hear from a broker standpoint, a realtor who's been in business, and a manager overall, is what is the work? I know that we said discovery, but I feel like maybe we need to dive deeper into that, because what I feel like I'm hearing is discovery into the client versus what you want to find in your market, right? Versus finding the discovery questions on the client is now focused on, okay, well, if I want to be a person who helps people who are looking to downsize because they're empty nesters, or vice versa from what we hear about, the boomers who are buying even bigger houses, right?
Yeah.
If I want that to be my market, how do I get to them?
Well,
versus
I have a
question.
boomer right here, so I think we could just ask him.
Oh yeah.
I'm not a boomer. I'm a
Okay,
Gen-
boomer.
I'm the best generation that has ever existed.
Bro, nobody even talks
Gen
about
X.
your generation
Gen
in
X.
history books.
Yeah, because
No, your generation is the most greedy generation. Yeah, how y'all get all y'all kids on y'all's house and buy bigger houses?
no, that's a boomer. He's a boomer. I'm not. He's not Gen X. But the thing is this, right? What you were just saying right now about emerging markets, right? The thing is, before you delve into or get into finding an emerging market that you want to excel in, right, or you want to create your niche, right, like you're saying, you have to first find out what type of agent you are, okay? And that's the thing. A lot of people don't know what they do. A lot of people feel like all the success they've had is luck, because they haven't figured out the pattern, the method. They're not being taught this, right? So you have to look at things like, Florida just mentioned right now that she loves to help people. She loves to, do these things, right? You're really good at finding common ground, working off emotion, right? And the thing is that if that's the type of person you are, then you have to be careful into what you want to specialize in, because if that's the type of person you are, you do not want to specialize in divorces. And I'll tell you this from because I took the easy route out, right? I started property managing. I started, dealing with investors, dealing with attorneys, and I found myself not being compassionate with first time buyers anymore. I find myself being dismissive and almost like, oh my God, really? Like rolling my eyes, over stupidities, right? And unfortunately, once you go that route, you can't come back anymore. I cannot deal with a first-time home buyer. It's just, it's like nails on a chalkboard to me.
Definitely, I do agree that it's something that you have to empathize with. Like, I dealt with the divorce before, helping a client, have his property sold. and it's probably one of the craziest like deals that I ever done.
Oh,
yeah.
It is a market, or it's a niche that is not for the weak. I mean, you have to have, ground on helping your client, because you're not only dealing with your clients, which is, what most of realtors do. Whenever you do divorces, and, Nate will dive deeper into this, you're dealing with attorneys. And a lot of times you're dealing with your client attorney, with the wife's attorney, and attorneys can really throw deals to the trash.
Yeah, and that's exactly what it is. You have to keep your emotion out of it, because you can't get excited and look at it as a sale or a close or a deal, because it's not a deal. You're dealing with the husband and wife, right? These two people know everything about each other.
Yes.
And as soon as you get hired, if the wife brings you, the husband doesn't trust you. If the husband brings you in, the wife doesn't trust you. If the attorney brings you in, nobody trusts you, and it just snowballs. And like you said, you have to speak to every single one of them. And you have to speak to the title company, and it's just, you have to keep your emotion out of it. You can't side with either one, and you can't get excited and feel like it's a deal. You almost become a mediator.
Yes, one thing that I'll do point out on that is that if you are looking into getting into that niche, don't target clients. Target probably attorneys, because
Yes.
a lot of times in situations like this, the judge appoints the realtor basically, or the attorney appoints the realtor. It's not like somebody's just gonna go look for you because it's not in the best husband interest, wife interest. If the wife or husband chooses the realtor, then they think that realtor is doing more for one or the other, depending on the side that they're working on.
I think, and really to follow up and answer Giovanni's question, on the discovery portion of it, and you're creating your niche, how do you do that discovery? What we train our agents here is, when you focus on a zip code, it's what we do, right? You focus on a certain area. You start to identify neighborhoods in your area and how those neighborhoods are supposed to be marketed, right? The reality of it is that Houston is a very diverse city. You have really expensive neighborhoods and you have really terrible neighborhoods, right? There's some in betweens, and you have to identify your market and figure out, when I talk about discovery, what type of movement, what type of people live there, and what would encourage them to call you back. So I use my area as a specific example. I live in an older neighborhood. It's a 1950s built. I was mentioning to the other team that I have a bigger house than I could have ever imagined, and I have one of the smallest houses in my neighborhood, and it is overwhelming for me. Not in the best shape of my life, but I'm a young guy. I have some stamina. I can hang. I could do some maintenance, right? And I enjoy it, oddly, and it's a lot for me to handle. I'm so ready to just go back and messing with flowers when I want to here and there, and it's a lot of work. So I start to wonder if maybe it's a lot of work for people in my community. Maybe I should reach out to them and ask them about their maintenance issues. If I'm having those issues, I guarantee you I'm not the only one in my neighborhood. Likewise, how many neighborhoods have we not been in? And I think we did a whole marketing campaign that was like, are you tired of living in a parking lot? Move to the city. How many neighborhoods have we been in where their cars piled on top of each other? You're having to park to wait for one car to come so you can go, and you're honking at each other. I almost got in a fight at one of these neighborhoods over that. Guy freaking banged on my hood and was yelling, was going crazy. And I felt the sudden urge to market the neighborhood because I felt like they probably want to leave. They don't want to live there. So as we're talking about discovery and identifying your market and those pain points, that's what I'm asking for. So how do you identify that? When you do that, you start to really hone down on why. What are some tools that you guys would use or have y'all used?
Well, for me, one of the things that works is taking off my realtor hat and putting on my consumer hat, right? Putting myself in their shoes, like how you said, if you drive through that neighborhood and you're like, somebody else has to fill this pain point. And if you put yourself in the shoes of the consumer and you can figure out what they're thinking, you can market to them or you can help them out to go to the next step of life. So you have to think the way that the person that you want to market to or who you want to be your client. For example, the reason, like I just figured this out recently, why I really enjoy my YouTube clients. Whenever I do YouTube, the reason why I really enjoy my YouTube clients is because whenever I show them an area that they're looking to that I found old and boring now, for example, Baytown, whenever they get to Baytown, they're flying out here from wherever, they love it. And that like excites me again about my area, the east side of Houston. I'm like, man, you know what? This, again, I start to reminisce about Baytown now that I live down over here in the city, is because I'm helping these clients and they're falling in love with the area. So I'm not just showing them houses, right? I'm showing them the full area. And that's the way that I specifically choose that clientele. So I put myself in their shoes. A normal realtor is going to do what? Go show a house because they're trying to sell a product. I put myself in the consumer shoe. What do they want to see? I put my consumer hat on. What do they want to see? They want to see the area. And it's the same thing for everything. You want the clientele who's going through divorces. You want the investors. What do they want? What do they want from a realtor besides somebody who's just going to sell them or buy or help them buy a house?
Yeah.
Right. So that's what helps me out a lot is put the consumer hat on.
Nice. What's something that helps you guys?
Personally, I feel like what I use, ever since I got into a business that I told you, I think in our interview, I mean, I grew up in a ranch. I'm passionate, about it. So, and I chose to go after that niche because I know it. I mean, it's not a lot of difference, running a ranch here or in Mexico. I mean, it's basically the same. There's like, the cattle brands are the same here and over there. So it is easier for me to connect with people and not only, like Giovanni said, to show them a property, just walk around, oh yeah, this is 10 acres. That's it. It's about knowing about it that I feel like attracts my clients to me, that I tell them everything about it. Hey, you can put this cattle, you can put this and that. So I think it's really important that you know what you're doing, what you're selling, basically your product from left to right.
And that's so interesting that you say that because you always get people that they're a realtor and they think, which they can, they have a license. They can sell you anything. They can even sell you commercial properties. And you always wonder, right, why are residential realtors hated so much by commercial realtors? And the reason is probably one of the reasons you're frustrated with a lot of realtors that claim to, be able to sell you acreage, right? There's a lot that goes into it. A lot more that goes into it. It's not about driving driving 3 hours into the, into the country and then looking for a property and saying, okay, here's your land. Okay, well, it's unrestricted. You can do whatever you want. No. That's I mean, that's not true. Okay, well, I want, and I'm gonna tell you a true story. I had a guy that bought land. I think he bought, I want to say it was about 20,000 acres, right? It was a lot of land. You know how much of that land was above a floodplain?
Probably 90%.
No, 5 acres.
Wow.
He bought it dirt cheap, but it was, you could literally see the Google Maps floodway. You could like see like where at some point or another some really bad flood had left like how you say they scarred the ground and
like a big runoff.
yeah, and the realtor was just like, no, we said unrestricted and nobody said nothing and it was a cash deal and yada yada yada. And I said there's 5 acres and he can't do what he wants to do with the property, and a lot of people don't understand that everybody thinks that terrenos Houston, right? Because you could do whatever you want out there, right? They think that if you buy land that's unrestricted or no HOAs, you could do whatever you want. No, you still live in the United States. You still live in a township. You still live in a county,
You still have city ordinances and deed restrictions and a bunch of other things, you know?
So
Yes, that is something
Or not
like
even deed restrictions.
super important, that if you live out of the city limits, it doesn't mean, that you can do whatever you want. There is county ordinance that you have to follow, even if you're trying to build a driveway. Like, there are so many things, that come into play whenever you are buying land. It's honestly, I mean, you really have to do the research. You are basically the walking encyclopedia for your clients.
Yeah.
So we've been talking a lot about right now, personal anecdotal, evidence, and luckily for me and Flor, the stuff that we do to find our emerging market or how we found our emerging market and our niche is something that we really enjoy. Now, when realtors come into this business, a lot of time they're either young or they really don't have a passion. So, what are some actionable steps that a realtor can do to find an emerging market? For example, if you're looking to work with investors, is going to real estate networking events like the best way. If you're looking to work with investors, I mean, we do have an acquisition team, and they work strictly almost with investors. How do they find their investors?
I think
mean, what's your
we've
opinion?
covered on this on both. Nate was talking about earlier. Don't do divorce if for the faint of heart. It's not for the faint of heart, right? Like don't do it if you don't have the stomach for it, right? I will say that when Nate got into investments and got into property management and we're there along for the ride, and I learned very quickly that I could not handle maintenance and that I could not handle the eviction process. I can go to court and I could do all that, and I did well at that. But just dealing with giving them the letters and serving all that, and then the maintenance, I me daba lástima. Like I felt sorry for them, and I wanted to fix. I'd want to do stuff out of pocket, and I wouldn't care, just because that's the type of person I am. But then as I learned in this business, and I realized that people don't care about you, and they'll take and take and take and take, without giving anything back, you start to realize that you have to protect yourself, and you have to protect the people around you. And as I learned more about the market, I realized that I was actually doing an injustice to my investor by not protecting his asset and not asking the client to hold themselves up to the standard of the lease and to the things that they committed to. So as my business changed, I got to learn a lot of those things, right? And we talked about how those things, but when I first started, I couldn't do it. I couldn't do it. You're talking about in farm and ranch, all the things that go into that, right? You have to be passionate enough. You have to be passionate enough to want to work on it on your off time and for it not to feel like work, you know?
I think for a newer, realtor that is trying to get into the industry, I think it's extremely important to find what they like. Even though if they have no experience, if, let's say somebody just got their license, they love sports. Just find a way to connect with others via the things that you love and you're passionate about. And that will bring you clients, will make you or help you kind of find connections and eventually start getting into, something or a market, a house, a listing, a buyer, something.
So some of the actionable steps that I would say for a realtor to take if they're looking to find an emerging market or find their niche is whatever you want to be your niche, go and talk to somebody who's already done that. Not necessarily on the real estate side. Go find a client. If you know somebody who's an investor or you know somebody who you want to work with new investors, go ask a new investor what do they wish that their realtor had done for them if they've already been at the property that they've had for 2-3 years that they put their money into. What do they wish that their realtor would have told them, right? What do they wish that, or how the realtor would have found them, right? Did they just go to a random networking event and pick out a realtor? And do they wish that a realtor would have gone door knocked and be, hey, I got a few properties here, whatever it may be. If you're looking for somebody who deals with multi-properties, right? Multifamily properties, what do they wish that their realtor knew? Ask those questions from the client themselves. Then you can build yourself out around that and then start hanging out with them. Not even hanging out with them. Start going out there and looking for them directly. And now you've built yourself out for what these people are looking for in a realtor. You have to build yourself for that clientele. And once you start asking them questions, then you come up with marketing material for you to go after that type of clientele. So you have to ask questions that goes back to the discovery, right? And you're asking that client even before you get, that client's not going to be yours anymore because they've already done their deals. It might be yours in the future, but right now, no, because they already did their deal. But you want to find out what they're looking to do. And I think this is the hardest part for realtors who get into this business and they want to go after luxury. And they want the luxury market to be their niche, their emerging market. I'll be completely honest with everybody on this podcast. I've never done a luxury sale. I won't say that I haven't had some high-end sales, but they weren't luxury, right? Luxury is a completely different aspect, And the two of you, as a broker and as a manager, I know you guys have done luxury. If you want to dive deep into what it means to be a luxury realtor, because this is one of the niche markets, and I don't even know why it's considered niche because everybody wants it. But I guess it's niche because it's a small amount of people who can get into it.
It's niche because it's a lifestyle. You know, you have to be part of that lifestyle. In other words, if you're going to be a luxury real estate agent, you also have to own a luxury home, luxury car, already be in that lifestyle. You know, and the thing is that you see these young realtors, you know, that are selling to first-time home buyers, right? Well, right now, or for the past couple of years, first-time home buyers or that market is what's been booming, right? And so if you look at the realtors that are in that market, it's young, you know, middle-class realtors that are just making all this, it's closing all these deals, right?
Okay, but why is that?
Well, why is it?
Yes.
Because the people that are buying can relate to those people. They feel like they fit in with that person.
Okay, but why is that all of these newer realtors are concentrating on just going after first-time home buyers? Because they require what?
Because it's very easy. You don't
It's the
have
low-hanging fruit.
Yeah, exactly. Low-hanging
Exactly.
fruit. You don't have to do anything for it. I mean, you essentially all you have to do is tell them what you know, which what then those new realtors
They don't know
know
better.
is nothing. Now, if you're dealing with a luxury, you know, somebody who's selling a luxury home, and I don't even want to say $1 million home. I don't even want to say a $1.2 million home, because I have seen people who own $1.2 million homes, and it's not a luxury home, and it's not a person of luxury class or of a upper scale, you know, person, right? I'm talking about people who are selling, you know, $3 million, $5 million to $10 million. You know, those people that sell their homes, right? They're probably not even here. They're probably in another country. Okay, when they find a realtor that they want to use, that realtor better keep up with the conversation. That realtor better have traveled Europe already. That realtor better pull up in a luxury car. And I'm not talking about a sports car, and I'm not talking about a Mercedes or a BMW. This person better show up in quiet luxury. Okay? You know, and that's the thing, is a lot of people don't understand this. Wealthy people can tell if you're wealthy or if you're rich. Okay? And there's a difference. There's a difference between wealthy and being rich. You know, having a Rolex does not make you rich. That's like probably the brokest thing you can do. And once again, for that market, for luxury market, right? The people that usually sell in the luxury market, a lot of the times they're from other countries too, because it's just a different class. It's a different way of doing business, and you know, it's niche because there's just not a lot of wealthy people selling homes, because the wealthy know not to sell homes. so you know, it's just not, you know, I really hate whenever people say, you know, I'm a luxury realtor. Are you? You're a luxury realtor? Okay. Or you know, I'm a commercial realtor, right? Really? You sold one commercial deal? You know, that's not a commercial realtor. You know, but yeah, it's just those niches are very small. Everybody knows each other in that business. A lot of times, some of these luxury realtors don't even have to market those homes much. They already have buyers.
Well, and that was another thing that I was looking at whenever I was doing research about this on the luxury market. They were saying that a lot of times these houses don't even hit the general public because it might be somebody who is of a high status and they don't want it, you know, publicly accessed. So sometimes you have to have a book of clients who are looking to buy in the luxury market for you to even be able to get a luxury listing, because it might not even hit market. And it takes a lot more to just throw it on the MLS. And if it doesn't get on the MLS, okay, where does it go? What are you doing? Are you doing print media, or do you have a network of people who are looking to buy in that price range that you can pitch it out to? It takes a lot more than throwing it on the MLS and just getting a listing, well, what you can do with the lower price range. Even though those you still have to market, right? But I mean, if they take away the MLS from you and not publicly showing it, how would you even show it? It takes a lot more than just being a quote unquote regular realtor.
So before Nate goes into that, one of your question at the start was how to become a luxury realtor, and to follow up what Nate was saying is one simply just doesn't become it.
Yeah, facts. That is facts. That is facts.
You are already that because you are already used to giving next level customer service. You're used to giving an experience that almost can't be taught. It's just understood because you've been raised in that area. Right now, that's not to say that a new agent cannot become that. But like anything else in finding your niche, you're going to have to work hard at it, right? You have to set a standard into how you want to look, how you want to do business, how you want to go, and you can't waver on your price. That's one of the biggest things I learned from the luxury agent side. My agents that do luxury or agents that I know that do luxury, they do not go under a certain price. They will not take your listing. They do not fold. They don't want to have a conversation with you if your listing is not above $1.2 million. They don't want to talk to you. They don't care.
They won't entertain it.
Yeah. And they're setting a standard for themselves and who can call them and who can even negotiate with them. And that attracts a certain level of clientele, right? Because you are putting in the work to handle yourself, to set the standard, to go from there. So I did want to ask this, though. Do you need a designation? Will that help me become a luxury?
No.
Because I got my luxury specialist designation.
Okay, but
No, but
it
yes.
looks good in a resume.
No. So this is
It
this
looks
is
good
the
to
big,
somebody who's not buying
this,
listings.
this is the biggest.
Dang, did you just throw a shot at phone?
Dang.
Just in general.
Come on.
I've been reading this book and I want to go into that excerpt.
This is my biggest argument,
that I
okay,
just heard on that.
that I've had with my realtors, and especially my educated realtor, my realtors that come in with degrees, right? I always, they come in with a master's degree or they come in with, any kind of degree, right? And they're like, hey, I heard you could get your designation for a, what is it, master negotiator, whatever, realtor from Har. And I'm like, yeah. I said, bro, it's like a 20-minute class. I said, don't worry about it. Get to work, And they're dead set on wanting to get designations. And I'm like, why? She said, I'm in this class. I'm trying to get my designation for this. I had this one realtor that she just got all the designations. Sold one house in the whole year. And I'm like, bro,
y'all gonna have to stop talking about float like that.
For real, I feel attacked right now. I have my valid designation.
But you know what? And that's one of the reasons why it's good to not be. I always get accused of, oh man, you know everything. You always know everything. It's not that I know everything. I've just been around for a long time. But I'm quick to say, you know what, you're right. It is true because I have seen that I will, I'll list a house like right now I have a house 1.2 million, right? The realtor that brought the buyer, I looked at his signature and it's like this thick, MBA and no sé qué and all this stuff, and I'm like, oh my god, what is
that long?
It's it's that long. This is long. And so, it was just
negotiator, no sé qué, and he said, man, it's too long, bro.
It's too long. It's too long. Yeah, it's too long. So I'm looking at all these designations he has, right? And I'm expecting to speak to what's the name of that guy that they're always picking on, the psychologist that Jordan. The Jordan guy, I forget his name.
Is it Peterson?
Peter
Wait,
Pearson.
hold on, let me
Jordan
guess.
Peterson.
And he sent you an AI
No.
email.
I wish
generated
you
email.
would have sent me a chat GBT email, man. But no. I'm expecting to speak with Jordan Peterson, right? Like this educated I'm like, oh my God, this guy's a freaking doctor, And no, it's like this, just doesn't know what he's talking about, saying the craziest, wildest things, right? And he's representing a cash buyer at 1.2 million, and I'm like, oh my God! I said, and I'm like, and I'm even take it further than that. I'm actually talking to his buyer because he can't keep up with the conversation, and so the thing is that I'm sitting here and I'm saying, how did this guy get this buyer? Well, he got it from his designations. People see that he has a degree, he has a master's degree. They see all his designations. He's making himself look, like he's a master professional negotiator, and I ate his lunch.
What I would say about that is that I think it's very important that you know what you're doing even though if you're starting, because that even sets you apart not only with your clients, buyers, sellers, but also with other realtors. I feel like whenever you know your stuff, other realtors actually respect you.
Yep.
So I was reading, well, I am reading this book, and they're giving examples of how for you to level up. And one of the main examples is for you to start where you want to be, right? And one of the examples was there's a new money manager. He went into the business, and usually the people who just start when they're in money management is people who are looking to retire, and they might have 20 or 30,000. This was back like in the 80s, I believe, is whenever this dude's example was. And he came into the business and he said, no, I'm only going to deal with people who want to manage $100,000. And they're like, you're a new kid in this business. You're not going to be able to find anybody. Well, this dude was able to do that. He landed his first client, and his first client wasn't 100,000. It was 600,000, right? Now, the point of this is that he didn't quit. He got turned down, I believe it was more than a year before he managed anybody's money. He got turned down for more than a year. He got so many no's. He had to learn how to speak to them, right? Every single time he got turned down, it was a learning point for him. So even if you do start, for what this example was, where you want to be, if you want to be a luxury agent, quote unquote, you start in the luxury side, I'm going to sell $1 million properties. I'm going to do this. But you know what that dude didn't do? He didn't take $20,000 people. He said, I'm going to starve until I hit that 100,000 because that was what he wanted to do. And that forced him to learn. So if you're going to say you want to be a luxury realtor, you want to be a land and ranch realtor, you want to do whatever it may be, if that's really what you want to do, you have to stick with it. And sometimes you can't take anything else.
Yeah,
You have to
I
set
agree.
yourself up for that. And then once you do hit that, well, then what's going to happen? Now that dude has been headhunted by Chase, by other companies, and now he doesn't deal with people less than millions of dollars. And he stopped, every single time that he wanted to upgrade, he stopped dealing with the lower count. And it's not for everybody, and everybody's not going to be able to do it. Sometimes you have to know what your stamina is in this business, and what you can and can't do. And that's one of the actionable steps. Probably the most important one that I want to leave with you guys with is the fact that if you're going to go after a certain market, don't give up. You're going to get told no, even if you don't have a market that you're going to choose. In real estate in general, it's a business of getting turned down.
I
At
can
least at
talk
your
about
start.
that from personal
Oh,
experience.
yeah, we do have to exit out, but if you want to touch on it lightly, go ahead.
The very first video that I think that I posted on social media was about like a $1.2 million ranch or something like that, and I kind of also wanted to laugh at myself and cry because the listing agent almost wanted to bitch at me because I didn't know anything. But I mean, that motivated me, to be better, know more about what I actually wanted to get into.
Yeah.
And now look, those same realtors over there that turned you down, didn't let you go out there, you're getting some of the listings in that area, and now they're mad because you're getting them. But you have to go through that fire in order for you to be able to establish yourself. And nobody's going to take you seriously if you don't go through that fire. It's just given to you. You know?
I'm going to tell you a luxury story, right, that doesn't have to do with homes. It has to do with cars. When I got into real estate, right, one of my clients, we were making a lot of money with builds and stuff like that. This was like in 2006, 2007, before the mortgage meltdown. And I remember my client was like, "Hey, I want to buy 2 Ferraris, and I want to take them back with me. One for me, one for my son. So I want you to have that ready for me when I get here. And here, I'm gonna give you a cashier's check." Because I need you to put a down payment on it or a deposit because I want them ready, gassed up, and everything. He knew the role, right? And I remember he gave me 20% down for 2 Ferraris, right? Cash to my company. And so I remember going to the Ferrari store in the Southwest side, and I walked in there like, I pulled up in my at that time I had the Mercedes. I had a little Mercedes truck. And I pulled up in there in my Mercedes and, with my watch and my suit and, my $150 suit and walked up in there. And I remember that there was only 2 people sitting there. And I remember the guy was on the phone. And I remember I went up to him and, I just expected him to talk to me and look at me, right? And so you know, he didn't even look up. He was on the phone in full conversation with somebody, and he was just giving them the customer service like nobody's business. And I'm like, you know, yes, Mr. I mean, he knew his name and oh, how are the kids? How he was just going into full, you know, blown, you know, just almost. I thought he was talking to a family member the way he was talking to this guy. So then I'm standing over him, kind of like with a bad attitude, like, hey, pay attention to me, you know, with, you know, my American entitlement, right? And the guy was just, he straight up ignored me. So then when he finally got off the phone, I remember he slammed it. He looked up at me and he's like, goes, I'm on the phone. He goes, why would you come in here? And you know, essentially, you know, why would I come in there and disturb him, right? And I remember he had an accent, right? I think he's from, I don't know if he's from Italy or from where. We really never had that good of a conversation. I still know him. He's actually in the Woodlands now. We're really cool. He invites me to all his events. And I was like, hey, I'm here to buy, I'm here to buy 2 Ferraris. You know, I'm walking around there like I'm, you know, like I'm, and he looked at me. He said, you know what? He goes, we don't have any Ferraris. He goes, everything that we have right now is on a backlog of, I don't know how many months. I don't remember what he told me. And I was like, hey, I have the money. And the guy, you know, I was treating him with such disrespect, right? And I didn't know it, right? Because, you know, I'm 25, 26, right? And I just figured money gets you everything, and you know that everybody's gonna bend to your you know,
your Mexican mentality
yes,
kicked in.
that's kicked in, and he literally schooled me that day.
Do you have American
Huh?
No.
problems and a Mexican mentality? I'm
Flo
confused.
corrected him. He said American first.
No. I went in there with my American, right?
I don't know.
We're not entitled.
I will disagree.
We work and pick
Listen,
ourselves up our
listen.
bootstraps.
I went
out
in
here.
with my American entitlement.
Our Southern
And I
Americans
went
are
with-
respectful,
and then I went with my Mexican-
and we
Northern
we
Mexicans,
follow.
Northern Mexicans, they want it right there and on the spot if you have the money. Cash is king to them, right? And so, man, he schooled me that day, and we ended up being friends. And he did end up finding me 2 Ferraris, but it was like 3 or 4 months later, right? And I'll never forget that I learned a lot from him in that process, because even though I went in there with a bad attitude and treated him bad, he snapped back at me respectfully, snapped back at me with class, and then even after it was all said and done, he still closed me. He still got my business and helped me out. And to this day, I mean, he might be always, I go to his events, you know, and sometimes I swing by, see how he's doing. He's been in the business for years. I want to say he's Italian. I'm not 100% sure. I could be, you know, just you know, because it's a Ferrari store, right? But yeah, I mean, but once again, it's that whole thing that he didn't just wake up one day and said, I'm gonna be a Ferrari luxury salesperson, right? He actually got into that role, and the clients that he deals with shaped him into the person that he is, and that's why he can work with a jerk Mexican that walks in off the street, you know, and tries to throw money in his face. And he can deal with people from other countries that are calling him on the phone and asking for cars. And he's selling them and shipping them out to them. So, you know.
All right, guys, we got to go ahead and close out. This was another great podcast here at HBR, Houston Business and Real Estate. I am your gracious host, Giovanni, here. I'm also a sales manager at Lionsgate Realty. And, yeah, tune in every single Wednesday at 7 p.m. We are live. And if you are somebody in the business and would like to join the podcast, feel free to reach out to us. All our information is down in the description below. And I'm going to go ahead and let these guys exit out, starting with Nate.
So, yeah, my name is Nathan Valderas. You can find me in all my social media outlets at Better Call Nate.
My name is Victorino Cortez. You can find me at Realtorino TX on Instagram.
Flor Velasquez with Lionsgate Realty. You can find me on all my social medias, Flor Velasquez Realtor. Till next Wednesday.
Vic, what do you do and what are you looking to do moving forward?
I am the president here at Lionsgate Realty. We are looking to grow the company. We are looking for like-minded individuals, and the idea is that we're going to put out content and attract the people that we're looking for. We want hard workers, people that are willing to learn the business the way we do business, and hopefully have a prosperous career here in real estate. We don't have a lot of turnover. Our people stay here for a long time, and I'm really proud of that. And I hope to hire more people that can grow with us and stay with us for a long time.
Awesome. And with that, we leave you until next time.